Okay, boys and girls, we are now live with Prehistory, a Traveler's Guide. I am your host, Greg Nyman, and with me on the panel today are Samuel Eiler and Christopher Gall, and joining us for our latest segment of Prehistory Talks is one of the most esteemed YouTubers in all things paleontology, Trey the Explainer. Welcome to the show, Trey.
Awesome to be here.
Alright, if I could start off like I did with my previous guest, Christopher Sarka, feel free to give our audience a sort of background history on yourself and how you got to be involved with YouTube and your interest in dinosaurs and so forth.
Yeah, so I'm Trey. I have my YouTube channel. I've always really been interested in dinosaurs, like since I was a little kid. I think like the most impactful stuff on me was the Walking with series, Walking with Dinosaurs, Beasts, Monsters. I really enjoyed that stuff. I think it really inspired me. Most people say like they're inspired by like Jurassic Park and stuff, but I only saw Jurassic Park long after that, when I was pretty grown. So I think those things must have been a big impact on me. Like I always found paleontology really fascinating, and and I just felt like I didn't see too many channels out there looking at dinosaurs or prehistoric animals as like animals or as real organisms that existed. And they always sort of like treated them like monsters or movie monsters, and I wanted to give like more of a natural history perspective on it.
Yeah, that's good and all, but could you also tell us a little more about yourself, like where you're like from and all that? That's the one thing I was always a little more curious, like is that sort of thing, because I haven't seen too many like biographies of you, so to speak.
Oh yeah, I've been pretty secretive about myself for a while. I don't want to give too specific details. I want to do a face reveal sometime in the future and talk about myself. But I come from like the Bible Belt, if you know, just somewhere around in there. I don't want to give specifics. I used to be a strong-willed creationist, if you can believe it or not. A younger creationist. I used to really believe in that stuff. And some of like my earliest videos, I think I might have had like a really, really early one talking about like those footprints or whatever alongside humans and dinosaurs or whatever. I think that's deleted now, but like I'm super embarrassed by that stuff. But I think it really helped me develop as like a scientist and wanting to look at things rationally and putting out correct information first. Yeah, I think that really shaped me.
And when was your like first exposure to cryptozoology, and what made it so compelling of a subject for you to start making like videos on it and get more in depth into it?
Like I was always really inspired by Monster Quest. If you remember that show, I think it might still be on. I also remember watching. Have any of you seen Lost Tapes?
Yes, we have indeed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I love that show. Stuff like that really inspired me. I always had like a knack for looking at like the supernatural and sort of like the mystery creatures of the world. And because like now that I'm kind of grown up, I've been able to look at cryptids, and it's interesting because when you look at cryptids, you can get a really good understanding of the culture that supposedly spots them. They reflect like who we are as a people, what we fear, what we find like repulsive or interesting. They're really cool.
And if you had to choose one cryptid to be your favorite, what one would that be?
Oh man, let me think about that for a second. I'm a fan of Bigfoot because I think that one's like one of the more plausible ones. But if I could like have just like a completely random one turn out to be real, it might be maybe one of the globsters. I don't know. One of those giant like the octopus-looking ones, like have like a huge fat octopus-looking thing swimming out in the ocean. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I definitely would agree on that. Cephalopods might be among the more plausible marine cryptids.
Right.
Well, today we all know that giant squids exist, and then the giant squids were once known only in myth as the Kraken.
And the same also went to their more larger cousins, the colossal squids.
Oh, another one that I wish would exist, I just remembered it. Mothman. I really thought Mothman was like a super cool, really weird story with all like the interesting aspects around it.
You know, if I may ask about other cryptids, what are your views on like the Jersey Devil?
Oh, I learned something recently about the Jersey Devil. Like, it appears that the entire creature might have been like a smear campaign against a politician. Because prior to, originally the name was the Leeds Devil, and somebody, I forgot who it was, but somebody with like the last that was associated with that, something Leeds, was a famous politician during that time, and he had a rivalry with another politician, and it might have been like a smear campaign to make him look like he was part of the devil or like evil or something like that.
That's very. I think I might have read that somewhere also. The Jersey Devil being possibly the product of a political smear campaign. But as a cryptid, do you think something like that really could be plausible, given the paranormal implications?
I feel like it'd be pretty tough for something that big. A population of like bipedal, winged mammals be living out in like the relatively small pine barrens of New Jersey. I'd find like a little implausible, and I don't know what it would be related to, like how you'd explain it evolutionarily.
Yeah, that was a problem I had. I always considered the Jersey Devil to be more of a supernatural creature than something more tangible and biological in nature.
Right, like the origin story of it is very paranormal. It's got a very like witch hunt sort of vibe to it, with like a dark sort of mutant birth baby who's cursed kind of aspect.
And also speaking of another class of cryptids, what are your views on the various dogman type creatures that have been seen across the United States, especially the beast of Bray Road and other similar creatures?
I haven't really looked too much into it, but I know about the Michigan Dogman, and those again, like Jersey Devil, they seem like, I don't know how you'd be able to explain it evolutionarily. Like Bigfoot, for example, that would be very simple to relatively easy to explain, because you could say it's a hominid relative of some sort, because there were a lot of them around the world relatively recently. With something like a werewolf or the Dogman, it'd be very, very difficult because you don't have bipedal canines walking around. So I don't know. I think it would be relatively strange.
Yeah, Scott Mars doesn't really think very highly of these dogman type creatures, just as a personal opinion on that matter.
Right.
Yeah. I personally, I think the idea of a werewolf or a werewolf-like creature is rather fascinating, but until some hard evidence comes forward, I can't believe it.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
And I mean, this county. Go ahead.
Yeah, here in Wisconsin, we actually have similar stories like that. I mean, they're mostly in western Wisconsin, mainly like near like La Crosse and those types of areas. But I actually am the same way. As I don't believe that there's any evidence to support it. I think maybe these are like misidentifications, like maybe like a bear or like a black bear kind of standing up or something like that.
Yeah, I think like it might just be a misidentification. There was this woman who appeared on Monster Quest, the Michigan Dogman episode, and some YouTuber. Have you heard of Para Breakdown?
I don't think so.
He's relatively obscure, I think. I'll post a link if you want him. He like did like a video which sort of took her interview in Monster Quest and then compared it to like one that she did on a local news station. And it appears she just made up the whole entire thing, because there's so many inconsistencies between the two stories.
Yeah, I don't think. I'm not sure. I mean, just if we were to go hypothetical and say that a bipedal race of dogman creatures did exist, what evolutionary pressures could compel such a transformation from quadrupedal to bipedal?
Right.
What are your views on Mokele Mabembe, the supposed living brontosaur in the Congo?
Oh, awesome. I've been wanting to do a video on one of the, like, either Mankilian Bembe or one of the related creatures in that sort of region for a while. And I think, like, I think there probably is a history probably to it. Maybe a real creature, maybe like some sort of hippo or rhino or elephant or something that wandered into that region where the natives were living. But I think Western culture, maybe like the early explorers, European explorers, might have exaggerated some of the ideas associated with it. Especially creationists. Creationists are strongly associated with Mankilian Bembe, and I think they've sort of muddied the water as well. I think the original creature probably didn't look as sauropod-like as people are implying.
I just mentioned one of these cryptozoology creationist types, Bill Gibbons, who's been undertaking expeditions to the Congo to try to find this creature, as he believes it would prove young Earth creationism to be correct, which was a kind of a fallacy when you think about it, really.
Right.
Because if anything, a living, not even dinosaur would actually prove the opposite.
Right. That's what I made a video on the ropin, which is a very, very similar phenomena, where Jonathan Whitcomb, which I'm not sure if he's seen my video or not. I think he has, which I think is hilarious. He is a Christian creationist as well, and he basically admitted in his book that, like, if he's finding the ropin for the explicit purpose of trying to prove God exists or the Earth is only 1,000 years old. And when you get people like that, you can't really trust them, and basically any eyewitness claims they make are rather unreliable. And I think that's why creationists have really, I think, beat down cryptozoology, kind of ruined it a little bit for me, because they're putting their biases in a field that they probably shouldn't have their biases.
Yeah, that's another thing that Scott has mentioned to me on multiple occasions, how cryptozoology often too many times attracts people from other camps, UFOs and parapsychology and other departments, and that kind of messes it up for those who try to look for more tangible creatures and so forth.
Right.
I have another question. I think this is kind of cryptozoology related, but anyway, personally, what are your views on the possibility of life on other planets?
Oh, cool. I think I recently saw Carl Sagan's Cosmos. An uncle lended it to me, and he talked about like how abiogenesis, which is the process of non-living matter turning into living matter, happens and occurs, and it's a relatively quick and easy, not easy, but quick process, and they're able to replicate it in labs nowadays by having the conditions of prebiotic Earth, and I think it's definitely super, super plausible that out there in space somewhere, at least on one other habitable planet, life has been able to evolve. The possibility that it's like an intelligent life or anything like us, I think, is very slim, but I think there's definitely something in between bacteria and us out there somewhere.
My personal feelings is that I believe that yes, there is life on other planets. I wouldn't necessarily say it's intelligent life, although I do believe it could possibly be intelligent, but I think it's more likely that if there is life on other planets, it's probably more animal or plant life of some kind.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we ever find like extraterrestrial life, I don't think it's going to be little green men like they had in like the 50s. I bet it would be some bizarre combination of fungi or plant and animal, something that would be entirely impossible to classify by our what we have on Earth.
Agreed.
That would need you would have to create a completely new system of classification for organisms that are found from other planets, star systems, and that sort.
I mean, I suppose it is possible that life on other planets could be intelligent, but so far I've yet to see any strong evidence to indicate that it would be.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sam, do you want to begin to ask your first two questions from Facebook?
The other question I wanted to ask are, what are your views on speculative evolution in biology?
I really, that was another thing that fascinated me as a kid. I remember watching, was that Future is Wild? You guys watch it? Yeah, I love that series.
Same here.
I just love the concept of what would exist long after humans. Like, I was asked by a friend of mine, like, if you could have immortality, would you take it? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. I'd want to see what bizarre forms exist in the far future. If what happens after humans cease to exist, if there would be like another civilization, maybe of like squid people or something really bizarre like that. Yeah, I think speculative evolution is a really, really fun combination of science and imagination.
I totally agree. Well, personally, my interest in speculative evolution and biology came. It really got started when I came across the books of Dougal Dixon, like Man After Man, the New Dinosaurs, and other books like that.
Yeah, I remember reading those books too. Those are really, really cool books, especially Dougal Dixon's work. It's super cool.
Even
I
if it
agree.
might be sort of dated by now, though, especially with new dinosaurs.
Personally, I also have quite a fondness for the speculative dinosaur project, which I don't think was completed, though I could be wrong about that.
Some members of our Facebook group were part of that project, actually.
That's cool. Yeah. I think I remember seeing that somewhere. I haven't really kept up with it. Like I remember there being like a few interesting. Oh, was that in All Today's or All Yesterdays?
No, I think that's something different.
These were two separate projects altogether.
Yeah, sorry.
All Yesterdays was all about trying to be, well, I'm not sure. I don't even know how to describe that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think All Yesterdays was like looking at prehistoric animals as animals, I guess, and reconstructing them based on that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that, I believe. Yes, was what Darren Nation Company were intending with this.
Yeah, I've always wondered what life on Earth might be like had the dinosaurs of the Mesozoic not gone extinct and continued to evolve. That's one of the reasons why I love speculative evolution so much.
Yeah, me too. I saw like this really interesting idea by C.M. Kozman. If you ever heard of that artist?
Yes, I have.
He like had like a sketch on like his Tumblr, and it was like, what if the Permian mass extinction was more severe, and he had like this weird descendant of like a terrestrial shark walking around on land. I thought that was like the coolest thing.
Wow, land shark, literally.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up one of my other friends' questions here. Aditya Sarnath. If you were to choose, which would you like to study more and why? Paleontology or cryptozoology?
I probably study paleontology because I think cryptozoology is kind of like there's not too much to investigate or look at out there. I feel like paleontology would be kind of more fulfilling because there's a lot more for you to discover, and it's it's more set in place that you're going to find something really cool.
Yeah, because I'm actually studying to be a geologist, but my career path would actually be in paleontology because there's so much more out there to actually find, and considering that there's probably places that scientists have never even looked at to actually find new fossils.
Right. It's amazing. Like I read this estimate recently that like every single paleontological or every single fossil animal ever discovered would only represent like something crazy like 5% of what all modern animals would be. So to think that like less than like 1%. The fossil record represents less than 1% of every single living thing that existed is like fascinating to me. Like wondering what might exist out there and still to be discovered, or what might not ever be discovered.
Yeah, yes, especially if there were like dinosaurs that lived in the uplands, like in like higher elevations. We would never even find any of those animals.
Right.
Yeah, there were probably dinosaurs that were so odd and bizarre looking, we humans are not even able to imagine them unless we actually saw them for ourselves. And those particular kinds of dinosaurs we'll probably never find because of how rare fossilization is.
Or to think what might have existed in the Mesozoic oceans that we will never know about if they were in particular like deep sea dwellers. That brings me to my questions.
I hope one day we... Oh, sorry.
Alright, this was about what are your views on the plausibility of the supposed Triassic Kraken?
Oh, I think I remember this one. Is this the one where they supposedly had evidence where like a giant cephalopod like arranged the bones of an ichthyosaur in like a format to make it look like it was like a giant squid tentacle or something?
Yes, actually, this.
Yeah,
exactly.
I remember reading that. I think I remember like the paleontologist or whoever was working on it said like it's just a goof. It might just be us inserting our ideas in there where it probably might not exist. I don't know. I haven't done too much research on it. I don't know.
Okay, but do you think it's plausible that giant cephalopods actually could have existed, throughout the Mesozoic era?
Oh yeah, I definitely think giant cephalopods could have existed. Maybe not like intelligent ones, but like judging by, I think there was a relative of like the vampire squids living at like a really giant version of it during I think the Cretaceous, and like judging by that, there's probably a bunch of them out there. There were really giant ammonites, I know.
Yeah, because if you actually seen that National Geographic film, Sea Monsters, there was like a giant squid-like creature that lived in Western Interior Seaway. I think it's called Tixoteuthis.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, I've known about that one. Okay, the next question is, this is kind of a simple one, but what's your favorite prehistoric creature?
I think it would be either one of those really weird transitional creatures like Tiktaalik or let me think of the other one. Tiktaalik or maybe just one of the really bizarre ones like Armadillosuchus. I really love that animal. I think it's like so bizarre, like a crocodilian that adapted to like fill a niche like an armadillo. I think is super cool.
Yeah, that was one of the more interesting paleo profile videos you did, was on the armadillo croc.
Yeah. I think what I find like so fascinating about paleontology is that in addition to finding like super bizarre, unique animals, we find ancient versions of things like still alive today, just being like in roles of things still alive today. Like we find like crocodilians filling roles like armadillos, or like prehistoric whales filling roles like crocodiles. I find that like super cool that there's like, if you look in paleontology or in the ancient ecosystems, there's almost as if like there's patterns that stay the same. Like just there's the roles stay the same, but the players of those roles change over time.
Yeah, just like saber-toothed predators, and that's evolved in like 30 plus different groups of animals and so forth, as far back as the Permian period, going all the way up to the last ice age.
Yeah, I thought what I found like really awesome was I forgot what the marsupial was. There was a saber-toothed marsupial.
Thylacophilus.
Yeah, Thylacophilus, and it might have coexisted alongside the saber-toothed cats, which I found like super amazing. That like they these two animals, really unrelated to one another, resembled each other a ton and probably filled a role very similar to one another.
You know, Thylacolus was actually found to have died out before the first saber-toothed cats had come into South America.
You know what? Speaking of Armadillosuchus, this might sound funny, but when I first heard of that animal and saw an illustration of it, I actually kind of thought that it looked a bit like a football with legs.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that. It's just that for some reason it just kind of reminded me of a football when I saw a picture of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it looks like a football with long legs.
Or a boulder with legs. I mean, that's definitely this could be worth a topic for an entire video series on crocodilians and their diversity and evolutionary history.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm thinking of doing a video on quote unquote living fossils and why I think like they're a little deceptive, or we shouldn't probably be using that term anymore. Because a lot of people like try to say like crocodilians haven't changed at all in millions of years, but like it's really obvious that they had a wide range of diversity, and all that exists now is a probably pitiful fraction of their once great range of roles and shapes and sizes.
Well, the coelacanths, for example, well, there are some creationists who actually like to use coelacanths as proof that the Earth is not millions of years old. But the coelacanths that we have today are actually, in fact, slightly different from the coelacanths of the prehistoric times.
Yeah, you'll see like their skull structure is greatly different than the prehistoric ones, and then just like crocodilians, coelacanths have a wide range of shapes and sizes, and again, like the ones that we have today are just a pitiful, like tiny remnant of what they once had a range to.
Yeah. The same goes with the tuataras. Tuataras are more appropriately called that because they're the only representatives of their entire order of reptiles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, some people think they're lizards, but they're actually the only surviving rhynchocephalians. Or if you like a more technical, sphenodonts.
Yeah.
And I think they were once considerably diverse in, habit, form, and size and species. And the ones nowadays are more akin to lizards in terms of their niche.
Mm-hmm. I think don't they only live on New Zealand?
Yeah, only some of the islands of New Zealand. They were once found across all of the islands, but they had trouble with introduced pests like rats and so forth, eating their eggs and all that.
Right.
And they're very long-lived animals. They can get up to like maybe 150 to 200 plus years in lifespan.
Whoa.
I mean, they can still reproduce even well into their like 50 or 100 plus years of age.
Awesome. Yeah.
And they're not that common in zoos from what I've seen. I've only ever seen live ones personally, maybe like 1 or 2 zoos that I've visited in my region.
The only ones that I personally have seen are in the Toledo Zoo. I haven't seen any others aside from those.
And that's where I got my first pictures of tuataras, was at that zoo. It's right next to where a saltwater crocodile now resides.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a big boy. His name's Baru, 17 feet long, 1,500 pounds, wild caught from Australia.
Whoa.
He was a cat. He was busted for killing too much livestock.
Oh no.
Well, they had 2 choices. One, they're going to kill him, or keep him on a croc farm, and then eventually find him a permanent home. And the Toledo Zoo got the offer to place him in a permanent home there.
Oh, awesome.
It's a really, really nice setup. Okay, anyhow, Sam's next question was, whom are your favorite paleo artists?
Alright, I really love the work of Mark Whitten. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yes,
yeah.
I'm a big fan of him. He's on my friends list and everything.
Yeah, I think he makes beautiful artwork that makes like interesting scenes, but the animals are super detailed, and like they have like a great area of speculation by giving the prehistoric animals like really unique structures, like body structures or display structures. I think that he's really great at illustrating environments as well. I think those are really beautiful. Yeah, I really like the work of Witten. I like the work of John Conway as well.
Yep, another one of my favorites.
Yeah, I've seen that that illustration of that T-Rex that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that gray-looking one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I remember that. That's I think I used that like as a thumbnail. I think like he makes really great work. I'm pretty great friends with C.M. Kozman, which he doesn't do entirely all like paleo art, but he makes some like sort of like interesting. What's the word I'm trying to find to say here? Like sort of weird independent art that I think like looks really really cool. Like I think just like C.M. Kozman's pretty great at like making animals look really really alien. I like his work. He's got a documentary coming out too. Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of I actually have a lot of favorites, but if I had to name my number one favorite, it would have to be Todd Marshall. I love his work.
I think I've seen Todd Marshall's work. Let me see.
Yeah, Todd Marshall, well, I think he did another line of work before he started doing artwork for dinosaurs and so forth. He really goes all out with, with trying to think, what's the word for how he does his dinosaurs? Full spikes and scoots and all that.
He has like the dew flaps, a lot of them.
Yeah, they're very cool looking. And he's actually done.
Yeah.
He's done dinosaur artwork for video games like say Primal Prey. Actually, and those are some of the best dinosaur designs in a video game that I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's one of my favorites as an artist as well. But on a personal note, one of my other favorites would be Julius Chittany, whom I actually got to meet personally at DinoFest last year. Both me and Sam did, actually. We even got his autograph, too.
Awesome.
He's a very, very nice guy. Very knowledgeable. And I like that he's actually a unique combination of a double talent, both a scientist and an artist at the same time.
Yeah, that's great.
And his wife, Alexandra, is also a very good artist as well. And he's a great guy overall. And easily one of the finest artists of our generation, hands down. But for me on a personal level, Doug Henderson was one of my personal favorites growing up, because there was this one book he did that had really lovely illustrations, but the one from him that stands out to me the most is the Dinosuchus, lying in wait for prey.
Oh yeah, I really love Doug Henderson's work.
I've heard him being cited by a lot of artists as being their inspiration, while they were getting into the art trade.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I know it's highly inaccurate now, but I've always had a kind of a soft spot for the paleo art of Waterhouse Hawkins.
Let me check him out. Let me see. Oh yeah. Yeah, he does really great work too. So he's like, although his work's like super outdated now, I think he laid some really great foundations for future paleo artists. He's a lot like what's that famous? Oh, Charles R. Knight.
Yeah, Charles Knight. Can't forget this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Charles Knight's work influenced Willis O'Brien and Ray Harryhausen. That alone is very significant.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the dinosaur designs for their films came from the paintings and illustrations and sculptures of Charles Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And Harryhausen has stated that on multiple occasions in interviews he's given in the years leading up to his passing in 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, I consider him to be probably one of the most important artists of the 20th century in terms of impact on popular culture and how the public perceived dinosaurs and how they were portrayed in cinemas for decades till the time of the dinosaur renaissance.
Yeah, he was super impactful. He was probably the first to make dinosaurs appealing to the common people.
And I've actually gotten to see his work in person at the Field Museum in Chicago this past summer. the first time.
Mhm.
Yeah, the actual paintings that have been up there for almost 100+ years now, including his iconic T-Rex and Triceratops.
Yeah.
I mean, I just felt like a kid. I just felt like a kid in a candy store seeing Charles Knight's art for the first time in person. Yeah, Mark Hallett's another artist I'm about to mention is one of my childhood favorites growing up, and the guy who actually coined the term paleo art to begin with.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, the next question are, what are your views on dinosaurs in popular culture, such as movies, video games, and comic books?
I think most depictions of dinosaurs that you'll find nowadays, probably especially like American versions, illustrate them more like monsters than like actual animals, which I find pretty disappointing. Like I think Jurassic World, although it brought us the active look at dinosaurs as fast, quick predators as opposed to like slow lizards, I think it kind of damaged it a little bit by making dinosaurs look like serial killers and like eating machines. Just they never resting. They're like crazy, kill anything that moves. I think that's kind of damaged what they probably were like in real life.
Yeah, I love dinosaurs in popular culture, but however, I do agree with you that yes, it can be extraordinarily damaging because it tends to depict dinosaurs more like monsters than real animals.
Right. Like I think a lot of people think of dinosaurs as like kaiju and like like that, like just sort of as movie monsters more than real animals that, just like real animals, had times where they slowed down, took a rest, and then did everyday lifestyle, just like lions or bears or something.
Yeah, because I think that's one thing about Hollywood is that they don't listen to scientists. They just listen to scientists for like what the body shape is for certain dinosaurs, and then they just leave the behavior stuff out.
Right. That's the whole awesome bro culture. Yeah.
On the other hand, however, it is useful in keeping people interested in dinosaurs, so it is kind of a double-edged sword, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that might have answered my question about your views on awesome bro culture. But if you want to go into more detail about it and what you consider wrong with it or positive about it, you can go ahead.
I think like the main problem with awesome bro culture is that it's kind of slowed scientific change, sort of like a lot of what I was making early on when I was sort of talking about did T-Rex have feathers or did Velociraptors have feathers. A lot of people are a little stubborn to have their view of dinosaurs change. They kind of want them to stay as the scaly, fast lizards that they saw like in Jurassic Park. And I feel like that's kind of slowed public perception of dinosaurs a bit and other prehistoric animals. It's kind of prevented some people from seeing sort of the advancements or what we found that's new about dinosaurs. Thankfully, like some media outlets are publicizing like the new feathered discoveries from China more, but Awesome Bros, I think they've sort of damaged the community a bit by slowing down the acceptance of new ideas in science.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of debates in the comments sections on Facebook about, lips on theropod dinosaurs, and even, a little idea proposed by Dwayne Nash about lips on saber-toothed cats. What are your views on those two topics?
No, I read about that recently. I think I read a little bit about what his evidence to support that is, and I think it's pretty reasonable. Like I think I could definitely see saber-toothed cats with sort of like maws to keep their enamel, or what was it? It was either enamel or some sort of structure in the tooth moist. I think lips on theropods is even more probably evidently true based on sort of the lip attachments, I think, that they found. I think that's very interesting.
I'm personally kind of on that was one of the questions we actually asked Dr. Holtz during the interview, was the views on lipped, theropods, including T-Rex in particular.
You say anything pretty interesting? What do you say?
I'm trying to, I don't exactly remember what he had mentioned, but I don't know yet. I'll have to rewatch the interview.
I think he actually, if I remember correctly, I think he said that it's an interesting concept, but there has to be more tests to be done to make sure if there's more evidence to support it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because it was in a paper, but I don't think it's published quite yet.
Right.
So it means it has to go through the peer review process first. Okay, this goes into the next question here, which was a question we had asked Dinosaur George Blossing. More of a fun question here. If you could operate a prehistoric park-sized zoo, how would you manage it, and what sorts of animals would you stock it with?
Oh man, I definitely want Azadurkids in there somewhere. In addition to Armadillosuchus, I think Azadurkids are some of the coolest animals ever to exist. I think I heard somebody describe them pretty interestingly as the giraffe storks from hell. I think they look so bizarre, and they're so huge that they would be a really, really cool animal to meet up close. In addition to that, I'd probably have, let me think about it, maybe, definitely have Tyrannosaurs in there, maybe sauropods, I definitely have placoderms, some of those early fish in there would be really, really neat to look at. Sea scorpions definitely, Eurypterids would be really, really interesting to look at and see how big they got. Pterygotus would be really, really cool. Yeah. But I think there's so many cool animals, I'd have to list a massive amount of them to tell you how much I want in that zoo. I probably want every single prehistoric animal that existed to be in that zoo.
You would need a franchise of zoos around the world to, stock that. That was an idea that me and another guy in DeviantArt had proposed, was creating a franchise of Jurassic Parks around the world, each one being tailored to specific things, having the original park in Isla Nublar, then having other Jurassic Parks, throughout the world with other types of animals in them to accommodate all the ones we were going to put in our park, for example. So that was the one that if I was going to do it, it'd be a franchise type deal with both different parks having different animals in it. If Jurassic Park in America would have animals that existed throughout its history, from Precambrian all the way up to Cenozoic era.
Mm-hmm. I think that'd be.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty cool idea. This is something that goes into this is a two-parter. So what would you put in your top 10 best dinosaur paleo documentaries, and what would you put in your top 10 worst dinosaur paleo documentaries list?
Oh man, definitely, up on the top, probably the highest I put up there is best documentary series I've ever seen is the Walking Wood series. I thoroughly enjoyed the entire series. I like how they really they were the first documentary that I saw that really depicted dinosaurs naturally as animals. It was filmed a lot like some of those early David Attenborough documentaries of it, or Planet Earth, where it sort of lets the prehistoric animals act like they would normally act in their everyday situations, which I found really, really cool and interesting. And then let me think about another one. I would say I haven't seen too many prehistoric or dinosaur documentaries in a while. I don't know. Can't really think of any. Oh, I like Prehistoric Park a lot. I like that one. I think the whole. I think that's part of the same series with Nigel Marvin. With that, I think was it Chased by Sea Monsters or Chased by Dinosaurs?
It was both. Yes, there was two different programs. One, Chased by Dinosaurs. He's in South America, checking out Giganotosaurus, Argentinosaurus. There's also the Giant Claw, where he goes to Mongolia, and then there was also the Sea Monster special.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those. I thought those were really cool because they gave like a sense of scale with a guy running around. Don't really see Nigel Marven doing too much work besides that. But I think just sort of the BBC prehistoric documentaries, I think I really hold in high regard. Even though some of them might be inaccurate at this point, I think the effects were really good. I think the usage of both practical effects and both CGI effects really helped it stand the test of time. And I just really like the locations that they filmed at too, and how they depicted prehistoric animals was really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, a personal favorite of mine growing up was the PBS series The Dinosaurs. It was done with traditional animation for its dinosaurs, and it was very good for its period of time, and some of it still holds up to this day.
Is that the stop motion one?
That was Dinosaur, hosted by Christopher Reeve in the 80s, with stop motion effects provided by Phil Tippett.
Yeah.
The one I was referring to was on PBS. The one I was referring to, The Dinosaurs, was a 4-part series on PBS. And it had a female narrator. A very famous one, actually. Who played, I think it was the actress who played the female lead on the old Get Smart TV series.
Yeah, I think I've seen this. I don't remember it too much. I'll have to check it out. It looks real good.
The whole show's on YouTube if you want to look it up.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Alright, now on the third part, there's been a lot of complaints of a lot of recent dino documentaries. I was wondering, if you were in charge of producing dinosaur documentaries, what would you do to make sure they don't have the problems of more contemporary modern dinosaur documentaries?
What I've seen most modern documentaries is a lot of them pander to awesome broism a lot. They focus on stuff like T-Rex versus so-and-so famous theropod dinosaur. Who would win? Like what was that called? I think it was the Jurassic Park Death Match or something.
Jurassic Fight Club.
Yeah, Jurassic Fight Club. I think focusing on stuff like that, where it's you're just focusing on dinosaurs as monsters fighting each other, or I think that takes away from what they were as organisms and what they were as animals. What I'd have is I want to redo something along the lines of the Walking With series, because I loved it so much. Try to get new locations and show people really obscure prehistoric animals that might not be the awesome bro ones, but are equally cool. Yeah, I think very little has been done on the Permian, or sort of the Paleozoic has been kind of left out of documentary series, and I'd like to sort of illustrate some of those really weird early animals out there.
Yeah. I always believed that the Walking With series could be remade, and with the Walking With dinosaurs, I would actually say maybe add more episodes. You could still redo the original episodes from the Triassic to the Cretaceous, but add more to add more at the Triassic, the Jurassic, and even in the early and middle Cretaceous.
Right.
Because I would have loved to see the European dinosaurs from the early Jurassic, because that would have been really cool to see, and also some of the African and Asian dinosaurs that nobody actually knows that much. I mean, the only Asian dinosaur that everybody knows about is Velociraptor.
Right.
Personally, if I were going to do my own documentary, I would make the dinosaurs in it as scientifically accurate and up to date as possible. Well, putting feathers on them if they did have feathers, and kind of try to cut back on the violence. Only put in violent scenes if it's appropriate to depict violence.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And be more respectful to paleontologists when they come on the program. That's another issue that I've seen talked about time and again. The production companies, trying to misquote the paleontologists by deceptively editing what they actually say to make them fit in with what their agenda is overall.
Oh yeah. I told you about. I saw that Ancient Aliens episode, Dinosaurs and Aliens.
Yeah.
They had a certain paleontologist come on for a bit, and I forgot who it was, but
It might have been Donald Paltrow, I think.
Yeah, they totally butchered every single line he tried to say. They tried to make it look like he believed dinosaurs coexisted with aliens or something bizarre like that. Yeah, I've seen that a bit.
Yeah, that was something that Dr. Holtz also mentioned to us when we were interviewing him about dino documentaries. I think George even gave us some tidbits about his time on the Jurassic Fight Club program.
Mm-hmm.
Where we had asked him about if they could have made the raptors on that program more feathered, and he gave us some insight into the cost of animating feathers at that time.
Yes.
I mean, it's not so bad nowadays. The technology is better than it was then, but
yeah, I'm happy that stuff like the Saurian game has come out. I talked to the creators of that, and just their attention to detail and attention to accuracy is great. I think they're more documentaries and more dinosaur relevant stuff should focus on accuracy and try to illustrate the dinosaurs as animals, not as monsters or mindless lizard-like things, but as real animals. Yeah.
yeah, definitely there. All right, Sam, you're up next with this one. You just came up with about dragons.
Some paleontologists have theorized that stories of dragons may have been inspired by ancient people stumbling upon the remains of dinosaurs and in their superstitious minds imagined them to be monsters. Personally, what are your thoughts on this theory?
Alright, I remember reading somewhere, but I think to some extent this is true to some of the Chinese and East Asian cultures. I don't think they were dinosaurs per se, but the fossil remains of I think it was Homo erectus. They believed were dragon bones. Which is bizarre that they thought distant relatives of them were dragons. They couldn't really identify that, but I think just some cultures might, Gigantopithecus teeth. They might, some cultures might have been inspired by fossil dinosaur bones, but what you see most of the time with dragons is they are a weird combination of what were once previous predators of human ancestors, maybe European dragons were a combination of big cats, eagles, snakes, and crocodilians and stuff. And I read something from a psychologist who said something really interesting about that, saying that dragons might embody every single predator that we once feared as a race, and it might be something instinctual to make dragons from animals that we're scared of.
That makes sense.
And this this ties into an article I shared with Sam the other night about why we invent monsters.
Yeah, I think that it traces back to when we were still near the bottom of the food chain, not at the top of the food chain, maybe not at the bottom, but when we still had predators preying on us. I think mythologies like dragons or sort of chimeras really helped our early ancestors survive, sort of like the boogeyman a bit, where giving out this concept of scary great beasts helped us survive as a people.
So basically, it gave them a name and a face to their fears, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think millions of years ago, 60 million, millions of years ago, when they were going from the trees where they had different set of predators, they had one set of alarm calls, and when then they came down to the ground, all of a sudden a whole new world of predators opened up. They had to come up with all new alarm calls for all these new different predators. And I think I read somewhere that their brains at that time compartmentalized all the different things into a composite image of all these different creatures, thus creating the earliest dragons.
Yeah.
That was an excerpt from the book Deadliest Powers.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. I think the book I remember reading was Creating Dragons or Making Dragons or something like that. Something along those lines. I'll look it up.
Okay, there's another good one here. What was the very first dinosaur movie you had ever watched growing up?
I think like the first like not really movie, but the first exposure I had to dinosaurs was of course the Walking with Dinosaurs series. But I think the first like real dinosaur movie I remember was Jurassic Park, and I think I really loved that one when I was I saw it when I was older a bit, but like I remember really liking it.
Yeah, Jurassic Park was one of the first ones I ever saw theatrically when I was just a wee kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jurassic Park is like my favorite dinosaur movie, but I think the one dinosaur movie that got me exposure to dinosaurs. It's an animated film, but it's the Land Before Time movies, and those actually gave me exposure to dinosaurs first before Jurassic Park.
Yeah, the very
actually,
Go ahead, Sam.
I actually have three favorite dinosaur films. Actually, they go from Jurassic Park to King Kong to Godzilla. I grew up watching those films. They've always been among my favorite dinosaur films.
And of course, don't even get me started on Godzilla. I got started on Godzilla also around the same period of time when I was growing up, and I gradually started collecting all the films over the years, and particularly buying the original Japanese versions on VHS before finally getting all of the other films on Japanese versions on DVD in the years leading up to the 2014 film. It's a lot more satisfying to watch them in their original language as they were originally meant to be seen.
Yeah, because the other dinosaur movies that I really love, besides animated ones, I actually like Valley of Gwangi, like the 1925 silent film, The Lost World, and the other parts of the Jurassic Park series. I mean, Lost World was okay. I thought Jurassic Park 3 was not particularly well put out. I think that one was actually kind of made by the film company to actually make the film. It kind of made a hurry to get that film done.
Yeah.
Whereas like Jurassic World, I mean, it was. I think Jurassic World was fun. But it's that, like, yeah, I agree with you that they just made it a little too much more like it was like a monster movie than anything else. But I hope, but at least with the sequel coming up, I think next year, they're actually talking about like more like kind of like having like an animal rights type of message to this sequel to Jurassic World.
Alright, this question is about your video on Godzilla.
Alright. Oh, the one where I tried to classify Godzilla?
Yes.
Yeah,
like a dinosaur?
Yeah, that's the only Godzilla. I think that's the only full video you've done on the big G so far.
I think let me think about that. Like, I've gotten a bunch of comments like yelling at me like, Godzilla's not a dinosaur, he's a radioactive lizard and stuff. And I'm like, okay. This was just an experiment. I was just doing this for fun. I don't know if I could really say too much on the topic besides that it was just a kind of a fun experiment. I did something like that for I forgot what I want to do more speculative videos like that in the future sometime, like for maybe hydras or something. But besides like just the little brief, like it was kind of like a fun little experiment that I did. I can't really say too much.
Well, they say that Godzilla is not a dinosaur. Well, that actually really all depends on what timeline you're talking about.
Right.
if you're going by the Heisei timeline, then yes, he actually is a dinosaur. But if you're going by the 1998 film, then yes, he would be a lizard.
Yeah, Zilla is Zilla as the creature was officially retconned is a mutated iguana.
Mm-hmm.
And all Godzillas from 1954 up to 1995 are prehistoric reptiles / dinosaurs, with the genus for Godzilla being Godzillasaurus in the Heisei series at the very least. And 2001's film has Godzilla being a mutated dinosaur, gets killed by oxygen jar, and then gets resurrected by the spirits of the World War II Pacific dead. A zombie Godzilla, more or less. But explicitly evil and punishing Japan for the sins of World War II.
I remember that.
I've always thought that Godzilla was more of a ghost than a zombie.
Undead is a more appropriate term, I guess. Pure evil, that Godzilla is. And of course, 2014's Godzilla is not explicitly told what he is. He just specified a prehistoric reptile that survived the Permian mass extinction.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more is given as to what exactly that version of Godzilla is.
Right.
And then they're going to have to come up with origins for Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah for Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Ever thought about maybe doing a video on King Ghidorah?
I might do a video on King Ghidorah. I've gotten a few comments suggesting that guy. Maybe. I think it would be kind of difficult to classify. I remember that there is one fossil of a two-headed reptile. I forgot what species it was. It suffered from a mutation, I guess, or it was a conjoined twin. It had two heads, and I guess I could probably bring that guy up in that video.
Alright, Sam has just asked you about if you ever thought about doing a video on about King Kong or his home island of Skull Island.
I've never really been like a huge King Kong fan, but I'd be really interested into looking into the topic. I think it would be an interesting video talking about it. The whole Skull Island, I briefly know it's an area where like Mesozoic animals didn't go extinct on a certain island, and they kept on evolving afterwards, right?
Yep, pretty much Skull Island originally is a haven of prehistoric animals along with the giant ape.
Right. Yeah, I'd be interested in looking into it. I think it would be really neat.
Yeah, the 2005 version from Peter Jackson has more evolved dinosaurs than in the original 33 film, where they're more or less the same species as they were millions of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The dinosaurs in Joe DeVito's version are more evolved, or at least some of them are.
There's an entire new race of hyper-evolved dromaeosaurs in this story, in Joe's works, called Death Runners, and they are led by a gigantic member of their species called Gaw, who was the original ruler of Skull Island before Kong took over.
And also the dinosaur that killed Kong's parents.
Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
And Joe's a very good of. He said, I think he told us in his interview that he considered the Death Runners to be evolved from the Troodontid group of raptors.
Mm-hmm.
Which would, I think, make sense given that they are said to be among the most intelligent, if not the most intelligent of dinosaurs.
Yeah, excluding like corvids and stuff, which are super small.
Yeah, those birds they're so good at intelligence tests that they actually put primates to shame in some cases.
Yeah.
I might have a question here. It just came right out of the blue. As a fellow YouTuber, Trey, I'm just asking, are you doing? Is there going to be any more episodes of, anything like on prehistoric life or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, I plan on doing several videos talking about convergent evolution and sort of like the various like explosions and extinctions of life throughout prehistoric history. I plan on doing like several bunch of videos like that. I really plan on keeping up prehistoric videos in addition to cryptozoology ones and debunking creationist claims as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I think it was over a year ago. I actually did something about the 7 mass extinctions on the planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because for I think it was like I think some scientists say that there was like another extinction in the Permian, if I remember correctly. Not the like massive one, but it was like a little bit after the beginning of the Permian, and I think it's not classified totally yet as a mass extinction, but they actually said it's a major extinction of certain animals.
Oh, cool. I've never heard of this before. I'll check it out.
Okay, Sam, your question was first.
Personally, what do you think of Jack Horner's work of trying to retro-engineer dinosaurs from chicken embryos?
I think it's a very like science fiction idea, but I think there is some truth to it. Like we've been able to work the atavisms of certain chickens. Like I think they made one have teeth by turning on a specific gene, right? We also have certain birds around today that like I forgot what they're called. They're like huttizens or something like that. They're in like the Amazon jungle, I believe. Which have like this, they still retain the very saurian claws of their ancestors. I think it's a really interesting idea, and I think it's very science fictiony, but I'm not really sure how they get it done. But it's very cool.
Personally, personally from what I've read, it looks quite promising, at least from what I personally have read. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I could definitely see it happening in the future. A certain artist on DeviantArt, Joshua Kapua, I think that's how you say it. I have trouble pronouncing names. He had like a series where like a series of art drawings where humans in the future colonize a planet and they have the descendants of like these genetically engineered chicken embryos colonize this world as like the dinosaurs kind of this planet. I think it's really cool.
That's interesting. I'll have to look that up sometime.
Yeah, I think it's like a really really cool idea, and I think it would be very interesting to see if we accomplish it within our lifetimes.
And that brings me to another question I just thought of. What are your views on Harvard's recent announcement that they're only like 2 years away from creating a hybrid woolly mammoth clone?
I think that's both amazing, and I think it's kind of a little scary because it'd be kind of strange to see how this mammoth would live its life because it wouldn't have immunity to diseases that we have nowadays, and it'd probably have to live in isolation for its entire life. It's very interesting, and bringing back prehistoric animals has always been a very cool concept. I'm not sure how it would work exactly. I remember they were trying to bring back the thylacine for a bit, but I can't really think of I think it'd be very cool if we ever brought back any prehistoric extinct animal.
Me personally, I don't have a problem with cloning extinct animals. I mean, personally, I think that would actually be quite fascinating. But what I do have a problem with is cloning extinct species of humans, like Neanderthals, for example. I mean, I definitely think that there are a lot of moral and ethical concerns attached to that.
Yeah, I feel like if we ever cloned a human, another species of human, it would be very interesting. It would probably be a very strange time because people would have to answer the question, well, when do you recognize something as human or not? does this subspecies of human count as Homo sapien? Is it a relative of us? Does it count? I think that'd be very interesting questions to bring up.
Some of the ethical concerns that would come up if they ever did do that is, would a Neanderthal be able to adapt to life in our modern human era?
Yeah,
You know,
I think that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if we did clone a Neanderthal, how would it adapt to the world the way it is now? I mean, would it be able to survive? I mean, would it possibly suffer from psychological or physiological problems or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Personally, what are your views on that?
I think it was when I was starting to learn about the wide range of humans that once existed, the hobbits, the Homo florensis, and the great diversity Homo erectus once had. I think it'd be really interesting to live in a world with greatly different, not just different races, but entirely different human species coexisting alongside each other. I think like a world like that would be very, very cool. I don't really know anything besides that. Yeah, I think it would really show our differences between not the two, but the various human species that once existed.
Agreed.
Okay, this is my next question. Were there any paleontologists that you looked up to and whom inspired you to get into making paleo videos on YouTube?
There's I really like the work of Darren Niche. He's been a really great influence. I've been able to talk to him through like Twitter or email, and he's been a great help. I really like his writings. Like Hunting Monsters was a really great book of his that I think sort of laid down the foundations for my outlook on cryptozoology and skepticism there. He's in addition to cryptozoology, he's written several like paleontology books, and he has that blog. And he's one of the main people that's helped shape my YouTube channel. He's been a great help. Mark Whitten, who's the paleo artist, and he also does like pretty in-depth blog posts about prehistoric animals. And I think those two guys have been great influences on me.
Not a bad choice of influences there.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad choice. Now, outside of those two, do you have any other paleontologists that you admire, look up to?
Thomas Holtz, I haven't really talked to him like firsthand at all, but I think I read a lot of his work. He makes really great work. Jack Horner, I read a little bit of his stuff, and he does great work there too. Yeah, there's a lot of great. Robert T. Backer has been a great influence on me as well. He's been really cool. I looked up to him when I was a creationist too, because he was one of the few. Because when I was always taught that like you can't believe in evolution, you can't believe in God and evolution at the same time, and he was one of the first people to kind of show me that that's not true, and that kind of made me work my way to becoming an atheist.
Yeah, Bakker's just one example of paleontologists that are also are Christians that actually accept the scientific fact of evolution. There's quite a few actually besides Dr. Bakker. Ken Miller's another example that I can think of right here who's quite
Ken Miller was a great influence on me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess my influences are pretty much Tom Holtz, Robert Bakker, Phil Curry. I always enjoyed Phil Curry's work, and I would actually draw back to like the older paleontologists like John Ostrom and also the Bone Wars of like Cope and Marsh, and they even go back to Barnum Brown, even though he was kind of a jerk in his time, but he made incredible discoveries.
Right. Yeah.
Jack Horner has always been one of my big influences.
I think Bakker, Curry, and Dr. Holtz were some of my, favorite paleontologists growing up. And it's even been more reinforced after we interviewed Dr. Holtz this past January. And it's not including all the other paleontologists that I've actually gotten to meet and attend their talks at DinoFest. The very first one I attended was Dr. Rodolfo Correa in 2015. Of course, there were many others since then. If I had to pick probably my favorite speaker from last year's DinoFest outside of Julius, it would probably be Dr. Holly Bell, Dr. Holly Woodward. Dr. Holly Woodward's bonistology research on Nanotyrannus. That convinced me more or less of the Nanotyrannus T-Rex debate being firmly closed in the camp of it being just a juvenile Rex camp. Even though I still see some people still clinging to the whole Nanotyrannus being its own genus argument.
No, yeah, I've gotten a lot of comments like that. People really adamant about Nanotyrannus being or not being a juvenile Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I mean, I was kind of divided on it until I actually saw the evidence from, Dr. Woodward's research that she presented at DinoFest. Yeah, Sam, you actually were present during this. You were present during that talk.
Yes, I was.
As for all what was your favorite? Was that one of your favorite talks from last year's DinoFest?
Yes, that was quite informative. Well, initially, I actually kind of thought that Nanotyrannus was its own species, but after listening to that lecture, I'm kind of starting to lean more towards the side that no, it's probably just a juvenile T-Rex.
And another really good talk from there was from Dr. David Verricchio about Troodon. And I learned some things about how Troodon may have reared its young that I thought was quite surprising, to say the least. More similar to an emu or an ostrich bird.
How about this question there, Trey? How many museums how many natural history museums have you been to, and what are your dream ones to actually catch?
So I've been to I haven't been to too many. I've been to a few. I went to the Natural History Museum in New York. That one. What is it called? I think it's got a special name.
The American Museum of Natural History.
American Natural History Museum. Yeah. I don't know why I was having trouble with that one. I went to the one in Raleigh too. That one was really cool. Completely free. It was very cool. A lot of they had a really good model of I think this I forgot what the sauropod was, but that one was really cool. And I went to another one. I think I went to the one in DC when I was really young, so I don't really remember it too much. But I want to go back to the Smithsonian, and I want to go back to American Museum of Natural History. I think those two would be really cool. Hey, do you have any ones that you think I should go to?
Oh, I've been to a lot of museums myself that I could definitely point you on. On the top of my head, the museum I go to the most is the one in Cleveland. It's a very good museum to check out. There's always a special exhibit to check out every 6 months there. They've got one just now about, animals living in extreme habitats and environments. That's definitely going to be something I'll be checking out when I go back to Cleveland this upcoming March.
Cool.
And DinoFest is also worth catching. And you can catch so many talks, but you don't have to pay a whole crap ton of money to go to a university to go to these lectures.
Right.
It's free with your admission.
Personally, I personally favor the Field Museum in Chicago. I love that museum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been to the Field Museum twice. The Science Museum in Minnesota, that's pretty interesting. There's not that much of paleontology there, but I mean, they do actually have a Triceratops skeleton, Stegosaurus, Allosaurus, Camptosaurus, and a few Cenozoic fossils as well, mainly from the Badlands of South Dakota. And I've been to the Black Hills Institute of Geological Research Museum. that was like one of my first ever dream museums to go to. Luckily, when I got to do a regional trip to South Dakota in a 4-year school, I actually I made a beeline towards that museum, and it's kind of a small museum, but it's a pretty cool collection of like dinosaurs and some sea animals from like the Cretaceous. It's really cool. The ones I would really love to see, I would like to see the American Museum of Natural History, the Smithsonian, the Carnegie, and Houston Museum, Denver, and even the Los Angeles County Museum.
There are a lot of museums that I would like to go to, but personally, the one at the top of my list would have to be the Royal Tyrrell Museum.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely going there someday. But as for my own history, I've been going to the Cleveland Museum on and off throughout my life, and since 2015, I'm now going there on at least an annual basis to attend Dino Fest. I've actually gotten to be friends with the curator of vertebrate paleontology there, Dr. Michael Ryan. And Dr. Ryan is one of the world's leading authorities on ceratopsian dinosaurs. He's a really nice guy. He loves his Ray Harryhausen movies, loves his Godzilla movies. He's good friends with a number of paleo artists, including Mark Schultz, who's the creator of the Xenozoic Tales / Cadillac the Dinosaurs series. I actually have a signed print of Mark Schultz's work that I got from DinoFest sitting in my room, signed by him, which I thought was pretty cool. Pretty cool. As for other museums that I've been to, in Michigan, I've been to the University of Michigan Museum of Natural History, which is very good museum. Lots of unique animals to check out there. Everything from mastodons to Thalassosmilas, Allosaurus, you name it. It's got a little something there for everybody. He's got good, stuffed animal reconstructions on the upper floor. Up there you can see a really awesome, prehistoric whales up there. Definitely worth checking out. That's for Michigan. That's where Sam's going to be going in a few more weeks.
Another museum that I would kill to go to is the Page Museum in California.
If I go to California, I'm heading to Rancho La Brea to go to the George C. Page Museum, the best place for Ice Age mammal fossils in the country.
I've been to La Brea Museum as well. Yeah, I completely forgot I went there.
I would kill to go to that museum.
I'm mainly there's this one animal that I want to see more than anything else there, and that's the American lion, Panthera atrox.
I think they have a skeleton of an imperial mammoth there. Quite a large animal, from what I understand.
They have an absurd amount of dire wolf skulls, completely covering one or two walls.
I've seen the pictures of the wall of dire wolf skulls. The number in the 1,000 to 2,000 skulls that they found at the tar pits.
Yeah, and I kind of forgot about this museum, the Mammoth site in South Dakota. That's actually pretty interesting. That is really interesting, and it's mostly mammoths in that site, but there's only one short-faced bear specimen that was found.
I've seen a
couple. But I would love to.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
Because at least I did get to see a short-faced bear cast skeleton in that museum. It was pretty amazing of like how massive that animal was.
As regarding that species of bear, I've seen casts of that bear at a couple different museums, but the most impressive thing I saw for the short-faced bear was back in 2015 when the Mammoths and Mastodons Titans of the Ice Age was on exhibit at the Cleveland Museum, which was an exhibit created by the Field Museum. They had a whole series of amazing life-size reconstructions of Ice Age megafauna done by Blue Rhino Studios. And one of the most impressive ones there, aside from the full-size Columbian mammoth and American scimitar cat Homotherium serum, was a short-faced bear standing on its hind legs, all 12 feet tall of it, life-sized. I thought that was pretty freaking cool. And there's this museum down in Indianapolis called the Indiana State Museum. It's got a really great collection of Ice Age mammal fossils found from the Midwest. From dire wolves, mastodons, short-faced bear, prehistoric rhino, and even dire wolves, including a particular specimen of a male dire wolf that broke its leg after it fell down a 20 feet into a cave. And they have a reconstruction of that exact dire wolf as it lay trapped in the cave. And also a particular type of prehistoric cat that was found in that region too, the American jaguar, Panthera augusta. Very cool.
Another place. I know that nobody's allowed to be here, but if I could ever visit it, I would totally visit it. It would be what's that? What's the name of that cave? It's got all the cave paintings in it. It's closed to the public now, but I saw it in a documentary. Very beautiful.
It's that one cave in France.
Yeah.
Well, what do they call it? The Shanidar Caves or something that?
I think it might be the name of it. I was thinking of a different cave site down in Fresnel, Texas, that was a den site for Homotherium.
Out of curiosity, why is this cave closed to the public now?
They talked about it. It was I completely forgot the documentary that I saw. It had that this German guy in it. I forgot what his name is. He's a famous documentary guy. It was closed to the public because people's breath was destroying the cave paintings. They were afraid that people were gonna completely erase these cave paintings, and it's a really really cool and interesting site because it gives very relatively accurate depictions of long extinct animals. I remember it helped settle a much debated topic, if male cave lions had manes. In there, they were able to find a depiction of a male cave lion because it had, they saw that it had genitals on it, the male parts, and it totally lacked a mane. So that's why most paleontologists think that cave lions didn't have manes, because these people depicted them that way.
And also, we also have intact cave lion cubs to examine, and from that we can get DNA evidence to really settle some questions about what exactly they are. I think they actually, from that testing, were able to settle that cave lions were in fact a separate species from modern lions.
Yeah. And what I found really interesting in this cave is there's literally only one human painting in the entire cave. And it is the lower portions of a woman with a buffalo head or something bizarre like that. And she's in a very obscure part of the cave, and it's the only human depiction in the entire cave.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to go back to the topic of museums that I've been to, moving on from Indiana, I also I did get to visit the Field Museum for myself last year. And as Chris said, it's one of the best museums in the entire country, hands down. And I came there mainly for one reason only, that was to see Sue in person for the first time. And she did not disappoint at all. And I also got to see the infamous man-eaters of Tsavo.
Oh.
The stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, I heard on the movie about that, the Ghost in the Darkness. They say that if you look into the eyes of those lions, you'll feel scared. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they said on the end of the movie.
And as for, I visited only one museum during my trip to Wisconsin that same summer. That was the Dinosaur Discovery Museum up in Kenosha. It's not a real big museum per se. I mean, all the exhibits are kept in one small room of sorts. But you walk around it going in chronological order. There's some pretty unique specimens there that I've never seen anyplace else. It was the first place I got to see a Torvosaurus, Carnotaurus, even a Suchomimus on exhibit in the United States.
Oh.
And for the T-Rex they had a cast of, I believe, was Stan.
Yeah. Because speaking of Suchomimus, because I actually got to see that Ultimate Dinosaurs exhibit that actually came to the Science Museum of Minnesota, and they actually had dinosaurs from like South America, Africa, and even Antarctica, and I think a couple from Australia. And yeah, because I was impressed with the size of Suchomimus, and they did have a Crocodontosaurus skull there. They actually had an Argentinosaurus femur, which you could just stand right next to and be amazed by the size of it. They had Osteoraptor, and the one skeleton that I was actually looking forward to seeing was Majungasaurus, and amazingly how small it is because it lived on Madagascar, and luckily I did get to see a Cryolophosaurus skeleton. I've always wanted to see Cryolophosaurus for so long because it was such a unique theropod, and yeah, and then you get to see a Giganotosaurus specimen. Carnotaurus is also in there, and of course at the end there had to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton, and I think this one was actually, I think that T-Rex specimen, I believe, was from the American Museum of Natural History, if I remember correctly, because it looks so similar to the one that is in the Dinosaur Hall in the American Museum of Natural History. All the pictures that I've seen.
Yeah, I also forgot to mention, I also got to visit the Carnegie Museum of Natural History during my vacation in Pittsburgh back in 2015. That and the Field Museum for me are the two best museums that I've ever visited in the country so far. And the Carnegie Museum is the museum that's got the actual holotype specimen of Tyrannosaurus Rex on display. Or type specimen.
One by Barnum Brown?
That one and the same.
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out. And if you want to see another Majungasaurus, there's a skull on display in the Field Museum in a glass case by the Daspletosaurus.
Yep. Yeah, that's a skull that is I think it's been sent to, like, it's a cast, I know that correctly, but it's one that most paleontologists have actually got to look at, because it's actually the most complete, and I think Dr. Larry Whitmer actually has a cast of that skull in his lab.
Okay, Sam, you may now ask your next question here.
What new dinosaur discoveries are you hoping to see this year?
Man, considering we got, like, the EG, the weird, bizarre dragon-like thing, 2 years ago, and, I don't know what happened this year. We found, like, all those really cool amber things, 2016, right? That was really interesting.
Yeah, we found that intact dinosaur tail in the amber about a few months ago.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. Like, I don't know, I can't really, like, maybe I'd like for us to be able to fill in some of the, non-Silurosaurian theropods, maybe, at least with some of their skin impressions, because we've gotten so little from that group. I think all we have is, Unquavinator, and, that's about it. I think I've heard rumors about us having, like, Allosaurus scales, but, besides that, we don't have much information on if they were feathered, if they were, scaly. And I think it would be really interesting if we could maybe try to find evidence to close that gap a little bit. Yeah.
Personally, well, I would love to see evidence of an aquatic, non-avian species of dinosaur.
Oh yeah, that'd be really interesting. I think I mentioned something like that at the end of my Spinosaurus video.
Is it still being debated as to whether or not Spinosaurus was aquatic or not?
I think it's a pretty sure thing that it, not like fully aquatic, maybe like semi-aquatic. I've heard like analogies to like being like a bit like Ambulocetus, kind of like it was a lot of like early whales in its probably role in the environment. Probably spent a huge deal of time in the water and then around the riverside eating. Alcapristes, those giant like relatives to sawfish, which I find like really fascinating that those things once existed.
I would love to see a fully aquatic species of dinosaur. I think that would be quite fascinating.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think last year there was also that weird Neovenatorid that actually had the same two-fingered hands as late Tyrannosaurs, which is I thought kind of really interesting because everybody thought like Tyrannosaurs were the only ones that had two-fingered hands, but now we actually have a Neovenatorid that actually had two-fingered hands, and that's very rare out of any kind of theropod dinosaur that is not a Tyrannosaur.
They found quite a few new members of the so-called Megaraptorid group of dinosaurs within the past couple of years, including some that still remain unnamed, including the big one that was found in Australia that they still haven't got a name for yet. That's nicknamed, I think, was Thunderclaw. And there's also that newly discovered Morris raptor from South America. Another of the new ones that was described, also quite large. Possibly the largest member of the Neovenatorid/Megaraptorid family.
Yeah. In addition to like maybe the dinosaur discoveries, I'd want maybe some Permian stuff to come out recently, or in this year. Like we barely know anything about like what sort of the early synapsids, their skin covering would look. I think there was a paper out, I think maybe 2 years ago, that like said they described like possible hair in the feces of some sort of synapsid. I think it'd be really interesting to see if we actually find any evidence, pretty conclusive evidence, that like some of those early mammal-like reptiles have like fur. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I've been seeing some artists lately, giving some sort of, fur-like integument on Gorgonopsids and other similar mammal-like reptiles. I don't think that's too entirely implausible, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other topics that we still need to go over? Kind of running out of questions.
Oh no.
How about this? Do you collect any fossils or replicas?
I used to. I think I have. A replica Spinosaurus tooth, and when I was younger, I got tricked into thinking there was this supposed mosasaur jaw set on eBay that somebody was selling, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be really awesome once I get this. And after I finally bought it and it came, it's like this slab, and it has like a section of the mosasaur jaw, and it has like the teeth in it. Like a few days after I bought that and it came to my house, I saw a news article that like said like hoax fossils, fake fraudulent fossils found, and like it was like a whole like pile of that same like set of mosasaur jaws, and like like 100 of them, and they're all fake. They're all fronts. I paid like $60 for this fraud.
I've started collecting museum quality replicas from companies like Dinosaurus and so forth. I purchased this Tyrannosaurus Rex and Smilodon skull replicas from the Field Museum last year, and that set of shark jaws was picked up at a sale by my parents for me. And it's actually, surprisingly, it's not a replica. It's an actual real set of bull shark jaws.
Awesome.
Actually, with real teeth in there, actual serrations, the replacement set of teeth in the upper and lower jaws included for that. You can actually buy them. You can buy them for like the cheap online, from what I've seen.
I collect dinosaur figures and paleo art, what from places like Papo and Collect A and Carnegie. I would like to collect more fossil replicas, but they're quite expensive, and at the moment I don't have enough money to afford one.
Yeah, these two dinosaur replicas I bought here, these were several $100s combined. I paid good money. I paid good money for these.
Yeah, because I collect a lot of replicas, and also I've been actually collecting fossils as well. I is the best replica that I actually have is, I think it's like a 1/6 or 1/8. I think it's 1/6. Of the size of Stan's skull, and I bought that from the Black Hills Institute of Geological Research on their website, and it's amazingly accurate, along with, of the skull, but there's no serrations to show it, because it's just it's small. But I have one of Stan's teeth. I actually have a tooth of Sue. I actually have a piece of a Tyrannosaurus Rex tooth that I bought. That was actually, I think, at least $35, which is not bad. And I have a Megalodon tooth that has one corner of the tooth missing, mainly the bottom part of the tooth. But the serrations are still there. The tip, I mean, it was pretty good. It's a pretty cool specimen. And I actually have trilobites. I actually do have ammonites that I collected in South Dakota. And I collect all sorts of things, even dinosaur figures, like from Safari and Collecta, all that sorts of stuff. And I'm kind of eyeing on a few other replicas. But my number one replica that I really want to get is Sue's right arm from the Black Hills Institute. But that's like $1,100.
I'm just going off what I actually have in my collection. Several Megalodon teeth, a tooth of an extinct mako shark, a Dodus obliquus, a mosasaur tooth with root, 2 Spinosaur teeth, and I also forgot to mention an actual trilobite specimen as well, and replica Tyrannosaurus Rex maxillary teeth, Deinonychus killer claw, and a larger Megalodon tooth, which I purchased. The last 3 I got at the Field Museum. The other ones I picked up at various rock and mineral gem shows that I've attended since 2013. But as I mentioned, the other two were T-Rex and Smilodon. They were made by Dinosaurus. It's a really good company. I also got some figures, some Tyrannosaurus Rex model figures made by them.
I have the Papo running T-Rex. That's one of my personal favorites in my collection.
You know, what Sam's got are more akin to toys. Mine are like actual models more than, you know, things that you they're just toys and all that stuff. And one of the Dinosaurus, you know, T-Rex figures I got was of 2 T-Rexes, you know, fighting over a Triceratops carcass. And one T-Rex is biting down on the head of the other T-Rex, and it's inspired by the mount that's on this. It's inspired by the mount that's on display at the Carnegie Museum, with the 2 Tyrannosaurs squaring off over the Edmontosaurus carcass.
Oh, that's very nice, Greg.
Yeah, I got those from the museum itself in the gift shop.
That must have cost quite an arm and a leg, it looks like.
Those were actually less expensive than the 2 skulls.
Wow.
If you can believe that. And there's a lot more on their catalog at www.dinosaurus.com. They got Velociraptor skull. I think they have replica Velociraptor skulls, Allosaurus, and among some other dinosaurs there too, including some other models, just like this T-Rex. You
I
know,
don't know if the Dinosaurus Velociraptor one is like half the size, or is it like the actual size?
you mean for the skull replica?
Yeah.
Well, my T-Rex is a 1/4 scale actual size. Because the actual head would be like 6 feet long, and in case of Sue's head, 600 pounds. So heavy they couldn't even mount it on her actual skeleton. They have it up on display on a balcony above her.
I would love to get some of the models from Rebor. I think the models done by Rebor are exquisite.
You know, one of my friends, Zach Coker, just started up a little company here called Paleo Productions. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, Trey, but you should definitely, purchase some of their products once that store gets up and running. I pledged to them on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
And I put down $70 for one of their Velociraptor replica skulls. Yeah,
this looks real nice.
And the skulls from Paleo Productions are 3D printed. And from what I've seen in the pictures of them, they look amazing. They're just as good as the Dinosaurus skulls, but maybe on a budget. And that's not a bad thing exactly. The whole purpose of this was to create museum quality replicas that were affordable.
Right.
Because most of the times, like my Dinosaurus T-Rex skull, that's $250, $300. And that's not including, the high-end, fancy pants Godzilla stuff that I might be nabbing at G-Fest. Golly, there's so many figures to keep track of, it's not even funny.
Well, not everything at G-Fest is expensive. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of expensive things there, but other things there are actually quite cheap and affordable.
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe, I'm not sure. Have you ever been to a G-Fest, Trey?
No, I haven't.
It's been held at the Crown Plaza O'Hare Hotel in Chicago for the past, how many years it's been there now? It used to change around places all the time until within the last decade, I think. But
yeah, I'll have to check it out.
From what I understand, they've always had it there.
Well, if you actually look,
as far as I know, they have.
It jumped around locations when it first started up in the 90s.
Oh.
It actually had a different name back then, too, before it became known as G-Fest officially.
Well, what did they call it back then?
I think a Godzilla Con or something like that.
Godzilla Con.
Yeah, that's something I'll be definitely talking with, Matt Frank on if he comes onto the program as our next guest, which I'm actually considering doing. I'm not sure if you followed his work or not on DeviantArt. He goes by Kaiju Samurai.
I think I've seen his work.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not if you know Godzilla very well, then you're definitely not going to be missing out on his work.
Yeah, I've seen his work. Yeah, he makes really great stuff. Have you ever seen the work of King over Rats on DeviantArt?
Oh yes, I'm one of his watchers.
Yeah, I really like his work. I've been able to talk to him. He makes me sketches sometimes. Really great stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some of his work in your videos. Have you ever thought about doing maybe a top 10 list of best artists on DeviantArt? Because that's a whole separate community. That's a good video, I think. Besides the one you've already done, because there's a lot of great artists that I've seen on there that haven't really been exposed that much. Who might not be professional exactly, but they have professional level skill and talent.
I definitely would love to do something like that.
One of the guys we could recommend would be Saber Rex, aka Jeremy Hers.
Oh, he's a good friend of mine on Facebook. I love his work.
And the thing that really strikes me about his work the most is how good he does his speculative dinosaurs. He's got a whole list of them, even.
He's done a few commissions for me. He's actually working on one right now.
Some fictional dinosaurs that Sam's come up with have been given life and substance by Jeremy Hers. And after the
Yeah,
after the broadcast is wraps up, I'll send you some links to some of these some of Sam's dinosaurs he's come up with.
Yeah, the one that he's working on right now is one that I made up called Majestosaurus regina, which literally means majestic lizard queen, the queen of the dinosaurs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I call it the queen of the dinosaurs because the females are meant to be larger and more aggressive than the males.
And doesn't this also tie into that other one that you just finished recently, or is that a different one?
Oh, you mean the Carnal Tyrannus?
No, not that one. The one that was on that was kind of your homage to the classic movie dinosaurs.
No, actually, the Majestosaurus is the homage that I'm working to the classic ones.
That's the one that Jeremy just posted recently.
Oh, I haven't seen it. So sorry, I'm a bit confused.
Or was that? I think that was a different dinosaur altogether, where it's shown eating those cave people.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the Majestosaurus. He's not done coloring that one yet.
Yeah, if you want to post an illustration of it here real quick.
Yeah, hang on a second. Yeah, give me a moment to pull that up. You guys can go over another topic while I'm trying to pull this up here.
Okay, since we're talking about fictional dinosaurs, do you have a particular favorite fictional dinosaur from any movie that you have seen?
I think when they had like the hashtag Build a Better Fake Theropod contest thing, do you remember that?
Yes, that was around the time of Jurassic World, for example, release.
Mm-hmm. There was this really cool one with like a Therizinosaur and it like had massive hands. It was like a really kind of like really cool illustration. There was like one that Mark Whitten did, and it was like a really massive theropod dinosaur like off in the distance, and it was like probably like the size of like a whale, and it reminded me of what's that movie called, Troll Hunter?
Yeah, Troll Hunter. Yeah.
Yeah, reminded me of that. I think those the Build a Better Fake Theropod was pretty fun. Like seeing all like this variation of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more about classic dino movie monsters like the Radosaurus and the Paleosaurus from Beast of 20,000 Fathoms and Giant Behemoth. I was curious what your thoughts were on those.
I haven't really seen too much of those. I'll have to check back up on my movies. Yeah, I don't know.
And they were the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms was very influential on the creation of Godzilla, so that's a very significant movie, and it was Ray Harryhausen's first solo project. Because before that,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite monster movies of all time altogether. And Giant Behemoth, or also known as Behemoth the Sea Monster, was essentially a British adaptation of Beast of 20,000 Fathoms, but with a different, more of a sauropod-esque dinosaur called Paleosaurus. Willis O'Brien and some other animator, I forgot what his name was, also did the animation for that movie.
Yeah. The Majestosaurus that Jeremy's working on for me, I just found it. Hang on a second.
That brings me to my next question. Do you think dinosaurs like the Radosaurus could actually have existed at one point in time? For real?
Radosaurus, which one's that?
That's the one from Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
So it's sort of like a predatory sauropod?
Yeah, that's the... Radosaurus looks kind of more like a giant tuatara-esque creature. The giant behemoth, or Paleosaurus, is the one that looks more sauropodian-esque.
I think something that looks like Radosaurus would probably exist maybe during the Permian or sometime during then. They had some very large lizard-looking stuff, but they weren't lizards. A lot of weird stuff during the Permian.
If you wanted a better illustration of the Radosaurus, here's Matt Frank's sketch of Radosaurus doing battle with King Kong. Figured I could just find this in a jiffy.
Okay.
While we're waiting for Greg, do you want me to show you? You want me to show you this picture real quick?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Now, this isn't the finished. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Okay. Photo.
Oh, yeah. Crazy.
All right, now here's my picture. Now this isn't the finished product; it still has to be colored. But so far, this is what that Majestosaurus creature that I came up with will look like.
And well, there it is.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, you should also put the backstory for this thing, because that's the best part.
Oh, hang on. I apologize here. Let me try to pull that up real quick too.
Yeah, these aren't just creatures given an illustration; they also have a backstory to them as well. It's very compelling.
Cool.
Carnotyrannus that he mentioned earlier was his version of an Indominus Rex, but with different dinosaurs in it.
I'll show you that one in just a bit. Hang on, I'm pulling up the backstory here for the Majestosaurus, and here it is.
Oh, Hades Island. That's a very fitting name for this kind of place. Yep. Yeah. Did Jeremy come up with this story, or was this all yours?
Most of this was my idea. There are a few elements here that he threw in, but most of the story was my thinking.
But that wasn't the first dinosaur. The first one the first commissioned dinosaur was the quadrupedal Quadrosaurus,
which was a quadrupedal theropod that walked on its knuckles.
And we had two different people do illustrations of that quadrupedal theropod for us. One of them was done by Brad MC, and the other one was done by Jeremy. And my friend Steven Stark came up with the full backstory of this dinosaur.
Here's the Quadrosaurus illustration right here.
Which version, Jeremy's or the other guy's?
Jeremy's.
You beat me to it already.
Yep. I also have the Carnotyrannus on here that I'll post in a moment.
The other version of the Quadrosaurus looks more kaiju-like. This one by Jeremy reflects it being more like an actual dinosaur rather than a kaiju.
Personally, what do you think, Trey?
I think it looks real cool. I like the pattern it's got. It's a cool scene. Looks really ferocious. Yeah, great stuff.
I hope you enjoyed the backstory for my Majestosaurus that I just posted.
Yeah, I'm still reading. It looks real. It's real great so far.
A lot of people have been telling me that I should write stories about this stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
He's got the writing chops, but you just gotta come up with a concept of story and characters. If you can find a publisher, then you can start making some money. I mean, there's enough dinosaur book. There's enough paleofiction on Kindle right now to fill my Kindle all the way to it bursting at the seams.
Yeah, I'm not very good at drawing or painting, but a lot of people tell me I have a knack for writing.
As I always say, a writer is just one part of the canvas that is artwork. The artists create the ideas, and the actual artists, the painters or drawers, they mold that artist's vision into reality.
And here we have the Carnotyrannus, which admittedly was inspired by the Indominus Rex from the Jurassic World.
Oh, I like the horn. It looks real cool.
And this one's got a gnarly backstory to it, too. worshipped and feared by a South American tribe.
As the god of death. But hang on, let me pull up that backstory too real quick.
And this also brings me to something I would have asked Trey. If you had the ability to come up with your own design for Godzilla, how would you design your version of Godzilla?
Oh, I don't know. I really love one of the designs from Pacific Rim. You remember that movie?
Yeah, the Guillermo del Toro giant monster robot sock'em knock'em fest.
Yeah. There was one at the end named I think it was named Raju or something like that.
Was it the category 5 kaiju?
I think it was 5.
That was Slattern.
It was like a really, really cool design where like it had like 3 jaws or something like that, where it like opened up. It had like protective armor on its face, and like it would open up like some sort of like I don't know, armor. And I thought like the design was really cool. Like I think the monster designs on that in that movie, I think Keith Thompson worked on them, as well as Barlow. And they just make really, really beautiful designs. I probably have them help me get some of the really, really cool concept art for it.
Here's the backstory for my Carno Tyrannus here.
Yep, the product of a mad scientist. And actual reasons for it, well, being as aggressive as it is. Well, it's got a genuine reason for being, well, a movie monster. Well, that Gargantosaurus creature I mentioned the other night would be something that you would thought I just made up, but to find out was created by a best-selling author. Yeah. The sketch I sent you of it from my friend Steven, that's not what I'm going to consider the ideal version of that monster yet, till I see Matt Frank's sketch and my friend Rochelle's commission of the same monster. Because once those versions come out, then I can finally say, oh, there's a genuine hybrid, dinosaur man beast that would fit right in with this little world that Sam's creating here. And if I'm starting to run out of topics here.
Alright.
Okay, I just thought on just what goes into the process of making your videos from start to finish, because that's something I really could use some help with when it comes to making my own videos, making regular episodes on the podcast, not just these interview type episodes.
So yeah, making the videos probably takes like a week, or some videos it might take me longer just because I have like work to do and it gets in the way. But I start out with it just getting with like an idea. Like the scripted videos, I get sort of the general backstory of the creature, and then sometimes I look at like the news articles and the direct sources, and then I talk to some certain paleontologists. Like I've talked to Darren Niche for a few of my cryptid videos to get sort of the information he's gotten. So I just do a whole bunch of research before I start the video, and then I just sort of start out with writing a general script, and I do that all myself. Like the whole entire process is by me, and that's probably why it takes so long to get videos out. So I do the voice, do the editing, and then I do the video editing, and I just am able to talk to a whole bunch of artists. I know like a few artists on TV and art who help me out with sketches and drawings for my videos, and then I just put that all together in After Effects, and then that's how I put it out.
After Effects. Could you also list a full list of the programs that you use for each step of the production here? Because the more you could list and go in detail, the more it could actually help me with my videos.
All right. for editing my audio, I use Audacity.
That's what I'm using. I'm using Audacity to record this very thing right now.
Yeah, it's a good program. So I use that to just sort of edit out the times I've like stuttered or had to like search up how the pronunciation of words go, and then I put in like background music, just like a lower, not pitch, but lower sound in the background, and then so after that, I rendered that out as an MP3, and sometimes I make some of my charts on Photoshop, just sort of getting a general drawing there with a few of my like charts or diagrams, and then I bring all that into Adobe After Effects.
Adobe After Effects. That's not the program that I've got quite yet.
Yeah, Adobe After Effects. It comes. I use the Creative Cloud suite, which it comes with. That comes with Photoshop. What is it? Adobe Flash, which I use for my little animated intro that I've been using a bit, and then it also includes a whole bunch of other programs, including After Effects. And it's like $30 a month or something like that, but it's worth it for me because I get a wide range of tools I can use.
And what's the learning curve on those other programs that you mentioned, Photoshop and After Effects?
The learning curve? They're a little bit like tough to like. It has taken a long time to figure out how to use them. Like I've had to look up YouTube videos and like step-by-step processes to understanding it. Like when you first work with Adobe After Effects, when you render out a video, the file is massive. So I had to download a free piece of compressing software to compress the videos down into like a much smaller format. Adobe After Effects is very intimidating when you first start out with it because you can do so much. You can motion track. You could like have like the contrast or hue increased. You have like blurs or clipping where you can just edit out like a file or something on there. It's a big piece of technology, and once you sort of get the basics from it, like after like a few months, I kind of got adapted to it and knew what I had to work with.
And that's the only problem I've got really, is trying to get my audio file, made into a video file that could then be posted on YouTube.
Yeah. I first starting out, I used Windows Movie Maker, and that's like a pretty restrictive piece of technology. You can't really do much on there. The files are pretty big when they come out as well. Just like Adobe After Effects, you got to get your basics of it, and then after a while you get used to it, and you know how it works.
Yeah, that's one thing I've tried to when I've tried to make video files for my podcast episodes on Windows Movie Maker is that it makes them big. But when I send it to Scott Myers, he's able to get it put down into a size that's easy to upload to YouTube. He hasn't told me exactly how he does it though. And that's including putting the images in your video file on top of that.
That's like what I found is like video files where it's actually like video, and you put that in After Effects. It's a lot of space. Yeah.
So after we wrap this up, would you be willing to perhaps help me out with some of my interviews that I've probably my last interview I recorded, try to get that converted into something that I can then post to my YouTube channel?
Yeah, sure. I can give you tips on that.
I don't have much in the way of editing skills. Hoping you can maybe actually get it convert into something that I could then post to YouTube.
Yeah, I could try to help you out with that. I have this software called Format Factory. It's completely free, and it allows you to transfer like a file into any format you want to.
I've already got it converted to MP3 format. I just need to get it made to convert it into a video file more than anything else.
Okay. Yeah, I could help you out with that.
That's the only thing I really need for it. It's already down to an MP3. Scott taught me how to do converting files from one type of audio file into another type of audio file. So that part I'm pretty good at already because I know how to do that. But it's just the getting it into a video. That's also getting into a video format. Still keeping it in the right size range. That's where I have my issues.
Okay. Yeah, I can help you out with that. Just tell me what you need me to do, and I'll help you.
The only thing I need is just need it converted into a video file that can actually be posted on YouTube.
Okay.
And also the artwork of the artist that I interviewed, Christopher Cernka.
Okay. Yeah, I can work on it. Just tell me whenever you want me to work on it, and I'll help you out.
Well, yeah, if you can, post your email. You post your email here, then I could send it to you via Gmail or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get my Yahoo or whatever I have, and send it to you.
Yeah, just whatever email address you currently use, that'll work for me.
Okay.
I've already got it on my Google Drive. And once I've got that, then we can get started on getting my last interview posted to YouTube. And then eventually this one too.
Hmm. Sent you it.
I thought I heard the thing get sent here. Oh, I see. You posted it outside of the chat.
Oh, sorry. I barely use Skype, so I barely know how to use it. Sorry.
Oops, you posted it outside of the chat thingy-mabob.
Yeah, you want me to post it in the chat?
Yeah, that would be better. Repost it there.
Okay.
And
There you go. Sorry.
there you go. That's better. That's better. That's better. Okay, that's also I just now thought of a paleo art type question. Are there, if you could list 10 or 5 pieces of paleo art specifically, what would be your favorites? And if you could even mention possibly a least favorite, but if you don't want to talk least favorite, then that's okay with me.
Like favorite depictions, you think? There was this really beautiful illustration of Spinosaurus by Mark Whitten that I really liked. It was Spinosaurus on this mud flats, and it was like one of the best illustrations I've seen of Spinosaurus. It was very cool looking. Now, let me see if I can post it in the chat. His work, like a lot of his work, I really enjoy. Let me think of who else I like. CM Bozeman's made a lot of really good work, but I can't really think of any specific ones right now. Can't really think of any specific illustrations that I really like. I just really like a lot of the work of artists.
Yeah, when we asked Dr. Holtz this very same question, what his favorite paleo art piece was, he said straight up, Greg Paul's Tyrannosaurs in running or something. That's an older illustration of sorts. Greg Paul's also been one of the big influential paleo artists of the 20th century.
Oh yeah, is it the one where it's like dawn and the tyrannosaurs or whatever theropods they are, they're like red almost?
Yeah, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, orangey in color, running from the viewer.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's a really beautiful piece of artwork.
And he was also ahead of his time for doing feathered dinosaur reconstructions too, even as far back as the 1970s. Some people do take issue with some of the way he lists dinosaur genera in his dinosaur field guides. The so-called clumping.
Yeah.
Ever thought about maybe doing a video addressing that issue?
Like some of the work that Charles R. Knight, I think his work with there was like this really cool one of Tylosaurus, and it was like I think it was jumping out of the water or something. It was very cool. Douglas, what's his name? Doug
Henderson.
Yeah, Doug Henderson did like a really cool one of the Tylosaurus jumping out of the water while like the KPG mass extinction is occurring. I thought that was a really cool one. Yeah, there's just a lot of them that I really like. The one where it's got like a plesiosaur sort of almost jumping out of the water as like a waves coming by and like the sunset is in the background. I really like that one too.
Yeah, there's just too many pieces of art that I really enjoy to list off the top of my head here.
Right.
But for fantasy art period, that illustration of the dragon Cyclops commission, that's definitely... Oh, yes, that Doug Henderson one right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was featured in Steve White's, dinosaur art book.
Yeah, very cool.
He's also another very good artist from the United Kingdom that I've also gotten to be friends with a little bit. And in this book, he interviews a score of paleo artists, and one of them was Doug Henderson, including some other favorites like John Sibbick, Louis Ray, Greg Paul, Robert Nichols, Todd Marshall, Raoul Martin, Mauricio Anton, Julius Chittany, and John Conway.
Real cool.
And as far as mammal artists go, my favorite will always be Mauricio Anton. Hands down. I mean, I can't think of anyone else that does mammals as good as he does.
I agree.
Especially his depictions of prehistoric felids. I mean, he does a lot of observations of modern cats in their natural habitat to get the patterns down for his prehistoric felids, like saber-toothed cats and so forth, and even the ones that aren't saber-toothed cats, for example. I'm trying to see if I can find Greg Paul's T-Rex illustration in this book here. It's not in there. But I did have it. I did get it signed by Julius. But yeah, it's too big to showcase the autograph, though.
Is this one it? I'm sending it.
Oh, this picture? Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. I've seen that one. Very, very great illustration.
Yeah, that's actually on the walls of Dr. Holtz's office, I believe.
Awesome.
That and one of and also a Zallinger illustrations in his office too, from what I've seen during our interview with him. I think it might have been the son of Rudy Zallinger's illustration, possibly. Oh. Oh. But this piece you just posted here, Tom Holtz admitted to us that was his favorite piece altogether.
Cool. Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, for Joe DeVito, he cited the big three influences for his artwork: Charles Knight, Rudy Zallinger, and Zdeněk Burian.
That's good.
You think you're ready to think we should wrap this up?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, but we can still continue the discussion, after we end the recording. Okay. Alright, boys and girls, we are about to wrap things up here. Once again, I am your host, Greg Nauman, and I'd like to say thank you, Trey, for taking some time out of your schedule to come onto the program today.
Oh, no problems. I had a lot of fun. Really great stuff.
And I'd like to officially open this up as an opportunity for you to do collaborations with us in the future, if need be.
Alright, yeah.
Because the more help we can get, the sooner I can actually get this show back up and running again like it used to be when Dakota Hudson and I were doing this together. Yeah, back in the olden days. Alright, okay. This is, once again, Prehistory, A Traveler's Guide, signing